What would happen if you suddenly stopped believing in yourself? Would you then also suddenly disappear? From as far back as I can remember, and I'm sure my experience is no different than yours, I was told to believe in myself. And I was told this by many people. I was told this by my parents, my older brother, my teachers, and whoever else I came into contact with who was, say, an adult or an authority figure. Believe in yourself, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds important, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I think that's what a lot of us do, and we don't really question, what does that actually mean to believe in yourself? And I think we make a lot of assumptions about it, but the truth is, if you really think about that, if you think about those words, that sentence, it doesn't really make any sense. So now you might be thinking, okay, you're getting into semantics, Damon. Let's not pick this thing apart and analyze it like it's just a good thing to do, right? Just to believe in yourself. Well, being a neuro-linguistic programmer, words are important. And the way that we structure words is definitely important. And if we don't truly understand what it is we say to ourselves, or we just make assumptions about it, it can create problems, it can create confusion. And I think this is one of those sentences that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later. But let's first go with, what do we normally assume when we hear that, or when we think to ourselves, I'm going to believe in myself? Well, we probably are thinking more along the lines of, I'm going to believe that I can do something that maybe I haven't done before, something that's really challenging. So I'm going to believe in myself that I can do it. Well, what if you can't do it? Really, if you really can't do it because you have not acquired the skill. What happens is we hype ourselves up in believing in ourselves, and then we go out and try something. And we thought, well, because I believed in myself, which is what everyone tells me I should do, and I really felt that, I really believed in myself, and then you fail at something. Did you not believe hard enough in yourself? Or, what happened there? And then what do we do next? I think a lot of times we sort of feel a bit resentful, get a little angry at ourselves and say, well, I guess I didn't believe in myself hard enough. But that's not the truth at all. Now, before I go deeper into this, if you find yourself liking this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, make sure you do that by clicking that button right here that says subscribe and the bell, so you'll be notified when I put new videos out. And if you're a little impatient and you want to know what it is that I'm giving away for free on this video, also check the description right down here and you will see that there's a link. And yes, I always give something away for free in all of my videos, so go ahead and check that out. I'll explain a little bit more at the end of this video what that is. From my own experience, I found myself in my early 20s trying to prove myself, but I was doing it in a very strange way. I was trying to sort of prove my existence. And I remember coming to terms with this. I was doing a lot of journaling at the time, and I was like, well, what am I trying to prove here? I exist. I know I exist. The very fact that I'm thinking about this means that I exist. And I really do think it came from that idea of believe in yourself. Well, believe in yourself for what? You know that you're here. You know that you exist. If you didn't believe in yourself, if you didn't believe you existed, nothing changes. Nothing really happens. You don't have to believe in things that you know exist. You go walk outside, you see a tree. You don't have to believe that that's a tree. You know it's a tree. It alleviates some investment of energy and focus in ourselves if we remove this belief. So if you just stop believing in yourself, nothing will change. You know that you exist. If you're listening to this, if you're watching me on this video, you exist. There's nothing to question that. I think, though, what a lot of people attach this to is believe in your worth, believe in your value, and try to prove your worth and try to prove your value. And so if this idea of believing in yourself is wasting energy by actually trying to prove your existence, well, that's one good reason to just knock this whole thing off completely. Stop doing that. But if you're also connecting this idea of believing in yourself to trying to prove your value or your worth, again, stop. This is not helping you at all. If you contemplate this idea and this belief of believing in yourself or not believing in yourself long enough, like I have, you're going to start gaining more and more clarity about this. It will be obvious to you that the idea of believing in yourself doesn't make any sense, and you'll let that drop. What you'll come to is what you will really understand is believing yourself is not the important thing. It's what you believe about yourself that makes all of the difference. So again, I know it might just sound like I'm splitting words or splitting hairs. I'm getting wrapped up in semantics. I assure you that I'm not. This is where things really can make a huge difference. If you make a correction of even a very, very small correction, and then you go forward in life and you see how that slight tilt, that slight movement, that slight shifting and adjustment that is a little bit better for you at right now, the further you go into the future and the more you live your life, the more that thing expands. And so something very small, a small tweak, a small adjustment can have huge effects over 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life. Make this change now that I'm going to show you, and you will start to really benefit from the development and the evolving of this idea of who you are. So you have your sense of self. We can call that self-concept. And yes, it is a belief. Why is it a belief? Well, because you don't truly know who you are. You cannot possibly know who you are. You're only on the inside. You might have heard the saying, you cannot see the label from inside the jar. And another way of saying it is you can't see what other people see who are on the outside of the jar. You're inside the jar. You're inside you. You're only experiencing you from the inside. You don't have objective information, 100% objective information. Everything you know about yourself has passed through your subjectivity, your subjective filters, all your beliefs about yourself and about the world around you. So you cannot possibly have a 100% objective idea of who you are. And even if you did, it would still be an idea, and that itself is subjective and limited. You can't process the truth of who you are, in other words. So we have to have an idea of who we are, a concept, a belief. And that belief is the biggest belief you will have. It transcends space and time. You have always carried this sense of self with you. You always will carry this sense of self with you. When you think about yourself in the future, you feel connected to that future self, even though you haven't even arrived, even though you are nothing like you used to be maybe 10, 20 years ago, you still feel that connection to your past self. Also, wherever you go, you take this sense of self with you. If you walk into the next room or into someone else's house, you still have that same sense of you. You still carry it with you. You fly across the world, you can walk into a country you've never been to, you don't speak the language, a completely different culture, and you still have your sense of self intact. This is what makes it a very, very powerful belief. So powerful and so big, in fact, that you can't really change it head on. And it doesn't really stop us from trying, though. And I've tried it many times, and I'm sure you have too, where you just say, I'm going to change. I'm just going to change. And the sentiment is good. It's a good idea. It's, we want to improve ourselves, but you try to change and you find yourself snapping right back into the old patterns, the old habits, and your sense of self still doesn't change, even though you've decided to change yourself. Now, we can make smaller changes, like in habits and some behaviors. And what we can do, though, is we can chunk down a level. And we use this word chunking in NLP. So when we chunk down, we're just getting more specific. When we chunk up, we're getting less specific. So we can chunk down to a lower level from self-concept to what we call a quality about who you are. More specifically, what you believe about yourself, a smaller belief about yourself. So smaller than the self-concept, the one that you just sort of like feel is you, your sense of self. So we chunk down to those lower beliefs, the beliefs about who you are. An example of this would be, I believe I'm a good learner. Okay, that would be good learner would be a quality of who I am. I believe I am a kind person. Now, that would be a quality. I believe, what you believe, kindness would be a quality of who you are. Now, we can also believe negative things about ourselves. I believe I'm a cruel person. I believe I'm a failure. All these things that we believe about ourselves I would consider those qualities too, just for the sake of what it is we're discussing. So you have all these lower level beliefs, but they're beliefs about who you are. When you bring all of those generalizations, they are generalizations, together, then you get the larger generalization, self. What your self is based on are all of those lower level qualities. If those qualities are qualities that you value, your self-esteem goes up, your confidence goes up, your sense of worth and meaning and purpose goes up. Very few people actually have all the qualities of all the values that they value most highly. Or put another way, if you were to take all of your highest values, which most people don't even know that, if you were to take all of your highest level values and then look at them and say, okay, is each one of these values a quality of who I am, a certain and solid quality, a quality that I am certain about that I am? In most cases, that's not true. Most people don't feel that way. So this might be getting a little complicated if you're new to this. So let's back up a little bit. Let's just take a value you might have, a value like success. Most people value success, and most people want to be successful in whatever way you define that. So if I value success and I do something, it doesn't even have to be a success, but I do something that aligns with me being more successful. Like I start a new habit. I start a new exercise regimen, a new diet. I start a new business, and it's brand new. Or I start planning a business. It could be as simple as that. Anytime I do an activity or a behavior that, in my mind, I align with success, I'm going to feel good about myself. That's how we create self-esteem. So my self-esteem goes up. And we can do enough of these things that are, in general, throughout the day, we feel pretty good about ourselves because our behaviors and our actions are aligned to what it is that we value. You know, if I value kindness and I act in alignment with kindness, I'm kind and generous to people, I'm going to feel good about myself. The same thing happens in reverse. If I act in a way that is counter to any of these values, then I'm going to feel bad about myself. If I value kindness and I do something mean or I say something mean to someone, I'm not going to feel too good about myself. If I value success and I have a failure, I'm really not going to feel good about myself. And it might not even be that extreme. If I value success, but then I go blow a bunch of money or I do something that goes counter to moving in the direction of success, again, I'm going to feel bad about myself. What you value is a clear indication of what's going to make you feel good, which will give you self-esteem. But we can take this even further and transform these values into certain and solid qualities of who we are. And when we do that, then not only do we feel better about ourselves, and our self-esteem and our confidence really stabilizes, because it's not a matter of just when I act in that way. Now it's a matter of, well, I truly believe I am this. And so if I believe I am what I value, then I'm going to feel good about myself. I'm going to feel, I will have elevated self-esteem and confidence, and it'll be real because it'll be based on a belief that's then based on actual experiences. And so we can do all this through NLP. We can code our experiences in such a way that they're real experiences, they're really things that we've done. We just have to give it that structure of certainty within in our experience. So this is not like fake it till you make it, which I don't agree with. It's that idea that, like, I really don't believe this, but I don't really believe I am this thing, but I'm gonna pretend like it until it becomes real. I'm not going to say that never works, but I will say that it almost never works. When it's not working, it just comes off as arrogance. You're trying to pretend like you can do something that you can't, or you've met people like this, and you've probably done this yourself, and we're all guilty of it. Or you meet people who they talk a lot of noise, and then they go out and you test it, or you have them tested, or they get tested, and it just falls apart. You don't want to be that person. That does not make you have a stronger sense of self. That's actually a much weaker sense of self. The wonderful thing about all this as well is that when you believe you are a quality that you value, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because we need to stay congruent and aligned to what it is we believe about ourselves. So sometimes people do things and they go, why did I do that? I know that's not good for me. Or no, I don't want to do that. Or why do I keep making that same mistake over and over again? Well, that's typically because you have a belief about yourself, and that action aligns with that belief. And you might be thinking, well, why would I do that? Because we need continuity. We need to feel like one thing leads to another. One step leads to another. This is part of how our reality is set up in time. Time has a past, present, and future. And that's one of the dimensions in which we process reality, time and space. We don't have a sense of continuity in time, and we don't have a sense of continuity in who we are That feels chaotic, it feels confusing, and it actually borders on feeling like we're crazy, or like we're going crazy. We need to have a sense of continuity. So our actions will align to what we believe about ourselves, even if what we believe about ourselves is negative or very limiting. How do you get at all this? Well, this is what NLP is really good for. It's really good for taking these sort of unconscious processes, generalizations, and beliefs and pulling them into consciousness so that we can then look at them and say, okay, well, what's being represented here? And is it serving us? And then if not, what can we do to make sure that it does serve us? So taking your real life experiences of you acting in alignment with your values, putting them in a structure that is your very own structure, your very own model for creating beliefs about yourself that feel certain and real, and also that you value, so you feel good about yourself. Well, that's how we do this. And I know I'm way oversimplifying it. I can't pack it all into one video, how this all works, but it has become the essence of my work. It's also was taught to me by my mentor, Steve Andreas, so I really can't take credit for this stuff. What I can take credit for is doing a lot of work on this and then also working with a lot of people to understand this much, much better. So to summarize, I would say just drop this idea about believing in yourself. It's just a poorly worded sentence, and it's not serving you, and you don't need to believe in yourself. You exist, you're here. What you need to start thinking about is, what do you believe about yourself? And if what you believe about yourself is not very good, or it's limiting in some ways, and for most people it's a little bit of both. You certainly believe good things about yourself, but you also believe very negative things about yourself, because we always say that, well, I have a lot of flaws and there's things that I need to improve on. And that's true for everyone, but how are you representing these flaws and these things you need to improve on? If you're representing them in a certain way, you will never sort of move beyond them. As much as you try, as hard as you try to break a habit or try to improve yourself, a lot of people will find that for some reason they just can't move beyond it. And they beat themselves up a lot about it, and that doesn't help either. It's really just about understanding how this whole mechanism of beliefs work. And it's easier than you think, but it does take work and it does take practice. If you would like to take this even deeper and sort of hone in on where in your life you want to work and transform, especially the beliefs about yourself, that if you believe something better, more valuable, you would feel better about yourself, but you would also do better for yourself and for your life, then I highly recommend you take this assessment. You will find the link in the description, like I mentioned earlier in the video. Click on that link, take the assessment, and it will help you sort of get clear about what is the next step for you. What is the next step for where you want to focus your attention to start moving in the right direction of transforming your sense of self, transforming the beliefs you have about yourself so that you transform how you feel overall, not just about who you are, but also the world around you. This is the other wonderful thing that happens when you transform beliefs about yourself. It actually transforms your beliefs about the world around you, because your beliefs about the world they come directly from your beliefs about yourself. So when you transform those beliefs about yourself, you will actually experience the world in a different way. You will experience reality in a different way. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified when I put new videos out. And last but not least, if you can think of a friend or a family member who would benefit from this video, make sure you share it with them. Take care.